Before we dive into today's story, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us till the very end. And if this story moves you, share your thoughts in the comments and send it to a friend who needs to hear it. Now, let's begin. Lena Morales had never expected loyalty to come with a price tag, but the evidence was right there on her phone screen that November morning. Her mother's voice came through the speaker, sharp and careless. "You're banned from Thanksgiving until you apologize to your cousin," Rosa Morales declared, and someone in the background actually laughed. Then came Aunt Lydia's sing-song voice. "She can eat leftovers in the garage." Lena sat on the edge of her narrow bed, staring at the cracked ceiling of her tiny apartment, stunned by the cruelty that sounded so casual. The irony was suffocating. They didn't know that she, quiet, dependable Lena, had been paying the mortgage, the utilities, the internet, even the car note that kept her parents driving to the very dinners she wasn't welcome at. For 3 years, she'd kept the family standing while they tripped over their own pride. She whispered to herself, half in disbelief, "They really think I'm the problem." Her cat meowed from the windowsill, the only witness to her shock. She scrolled through the family group chat and saw the same pattern. Smiling emojis, plans for dinner, a photo of a golden turkey centerpiece, and her name missing again. It wasn't just about Thanksgiving. It was about years of being invisible while holding everyone up. She set her phone down, folded her arms, and said softly, "They have no idea who they've been using." In that moment, the quiet in her apartment didn't feel lonely. It felt like the start of something powerful. Lena worked as a junior financial analyst in a mid-sized firm downtown, the kind of person who could make chaos look organized. Her spreadsheets were so precise that her boss once joked she could find logic in a tornado. But her gift with numbers had become her family's lifeline. It started 2 years earlier when her father, Manuel Morales, suffered a heart attack. The surgery saved him, but the medical bills almost drowned them. Lena had stepped in because that's what family did, or so she believed then. She paid the balance that insurance wouldn't cover and set up automatic transfers so her parents wouldn't worry about late fees. What began as temporary compassion slowly hardened into routine exploitation. Just until next month, her mother had promised about the phone bill. "You're so good with online payments," her father said when he asked her to handle the internet account. Then came car repairs, insurance renewals, and her cousin Dylan's emergency rent money every few weeks. Every new request was wrapped in guilt and gratitude, until the gratitude vanished and only guilt remained. She lived on instant noodles and store-brand coffee, while their social media posts showed steak dinners and beach selfies captioned family blessings. Lena laughed bitterly when she saw them. The only blessing was that she had kept receipts, every transfer, every message, every date, and she was starting to wonder when she would finally stop paying for people who called her selfish for keeping track. The invitation to humiliation came through the family group chat on a Tuesday afternoon. "Final head count for Thanksgiving," her mother typed, followed by a list of names that read like a roll call for everyone who had ever borrowed money from Lena. Her name was not among them. She blinked, scrolled again, then typed, "Did you forget to include me?" The 3 dots pulsed, disappeared, then pulsed again before Dylan replied, "Limited seating. Maybe try Christmas if you can behave." Behave? She nearly dropped her phone. Her only crime had been asking him at his promotion dinner why he needed her to cover his rent if he was crushing his sales quotas. Now, she was the villain in a story written by people who owed her thousands. She called her mother immediately. The sounds of laughter, clinking dishes, and running water filled the background. "You're not invited until you apologize to your cousin," Rosa said, her tone brisk. "Apologize for what?" "For telling the truth." Lena asked, her chest tightening. From somewhere behind her mother came Uncle Hector's booming voice. "There she goes again, little Miss Accountant." The nickname was meant to sting, and it did. "Fine," Lena said evenly, fighting the tremor in her voice. "If you want drama, stop using my debit card for your autopays." The silence that followed was so pure she could hear her own heartbeat. Then the line went dead. 10 minutes later, a message lit up her screen. "Don't make this about money. Family comes first," Aunt Lydia texted, followed by a photo of the Thanksgiving table on Facebook, candles glowing, smiles wide, everyone tagged except her. It was as if they were performing happiness for an audience, while erasing her from the script. Lena stared at the image until the pixels blurred. That night, she sat in her small kitchen with the refrigerator's hum as her only companion. She'd spent years teaching her coworkers about budgeting, about the importance of boundaries and financial literacy, yet she had none at home. "Maybe this is my fault," she muttered. "Maybe I trained them to treat me like this." The next day was Thanksgiving. Social media flooded with family photos, her family among them. Plates of turkey, hashtags about gratitude. Around 3 in the afternoon, her mother sent a final jab. "Saved you a plate. Porch pickup after 6. Porch pickup, like she was a delivery driver instead of a daughter. Out of morbid curiosity, she drove by their house that evening. The plate sat on the step wrapped in foil, cold and forgotten. A stray dog sniffed at it, tail wagging. She parked across the street, watching through the windshield as laughter drifted from inside the warm house. Then she drove away, leaving the plate and the past behind in the cold November air. Black Friday morning arrived, but instead of chasing sales, Lena chased clarity. She went to a small bakery downtown for coffee, determined to enjoy one peaceful morning. But peace didn't last long. "Lena," a too familiar voice chirped. Aunt Lydia appeared beside her in line, wearing designer boots and faux sympathy. "Sweetheart, we've all been worried. She's been very sensitive lately," Lydia told the cashier loudly, as if announcing a disclaimer about a malfunctioning customer. The cashier froze, unsure whether to smile or stay silent. Lena's face burned, but she didn't give Lydia the performance she wanted. She simply turned and walked out, leaving the smell of fresh bread and humiliation behind. In her car, her phone rang, Dylan's name flashing across the screen. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Hey, can you front me $800 for Ashley's Christmas gift? I'll Venmo you Monday." The audacity stole her breath. "You banned me from dinner, but still need my wallet?" she said. He sighed, impatient. "You know how it is, Lena. Family helps family. We all take care of each other." "No," she said slowly. "I take care of all of you." Then she hung up. For the first time in years, she didn't feel guilty. She opened her phone's notes app and started typing. Dates, amounts, reasons. A quiet ledger of invisible labor. At the top, she wrote 4 words that felt like liberation. They're about to learn. That evening, as city lights flickered outside her window, Lena stared at the spreadsheet on her laptop. But this time, the numbers weren't for work. They were her own life. 3 years of transactions, transfers, and quiet rescues. She scrolled through hundreds of entries, each one a story of how her love had been turned into obligation. Rent for Dylan, insurance for Mom, credit card payments for Aunt Lydia, electricity for the entire family. Each one marked temporary at first. Each one became permanent. Her reflection in the screen looked tired but sharper than ever. She opened her banking app and took screenshots. Proof that kindness without limits becomes currency for the ungrateful. Then her phone buzzed again. It was her father this time. "Mija," Manuel said, his voice weary. "We just need a quick $400 for a security deposit before Monday. I'll pay you right back." Lena closed her eyes, leaning back in her chair. She heard the same script. Always urgent, always temporary, never true. "Dad," she said softly, "what happens when I can't keep fixing everything?" There was silence on the other end, then a nervous laugh. "You've always been good with money, sweetheart. We just need a little help." She ended the call before her resolve melted. Then she whispered to herself, no more. Saturday morning brought a calm she hadn't felt in years. The air smelled of rain, and for once her phone was silent. Lena brewed coffee, opened her laptop again, and began what she called the reckoning. She printed every statement, every text message, and highlighted every payment in yellow. Then she organized them neatly into a binder she bought from the office supply store. On the cover, she printed the title, "This is what I did for you. This is what I won't do anymore." Each page felt like reclaiming a piece of her own backbone. When she was done, she sat on the floor surrounded by papers and laughed. Really laughed, for the first time in months. Her mentor at work, Grace Wilson, had once told her, "Boundaries aren't walls, Lena. They're love with a spine." She finally understood. It wasn't about punishment, it was about peace. She spent the rest of the day methodically removing her family's access to her finances, canceling mortgage autopay, unlinking her debit card from the utilities, transferring the phone plan into prepaid accounts under their names. It was meticulous, almost surgical. When she clicked confirm on the final transfer, the system pinged. "You are no longer responsible for this account." The relief hit her like a sunrise after years of storms. "Finally," she said, smiling through quiet tears, "they'll learn what responsibility feels like." By Monday morning, the family's world began to wobble, though they didn't know why. Dylan posted a smug Instagram story, a table full of leftovers with the caption, "Real loyalty isn't about money." Lena almost laughed at the irony. Later that day, while buying groceries, she overheard her Uncle Hector at the next aisle saying, "She'll come crawling back once she realizes she needs us." The words made her freeze mid-step. For years, she had feared losing their approval, but now, hearing their arrogance out loud, she realized something. She didn't need their approval, she needed her freedom. That night, her mother left a voicemail that started sweet and ended sharp. "Since you won't apologize, don't bother coming to Christmas either. And please, no dramatic spreadsheets about money. Nobody wants to see it." Lena sat on her couch, listening to the message twice before deleting it. For the first time, the silence afterward didn't ache. It glowed. She looked around her tiny apartment, the same one she used to resent for being small, and whispered, "It's mine. All mine." That night, she slept like someone who had finally stopped running a marathon she never signed up for. The peace lasted until Friday morning, when her phone rang so violently that it rattled the coffee mug beside it. It was her mother, breathless and panicked. "Lena, the mortgage payment bounced. The bank is calling about late fees." "What happened?" Lena felt a strange calm, like she'd been waiting for this moment. "I'll be over in an hour," she said. When she arrived, the house looked smaller than she remembered, the curtains drawn tight, the air thick with tension. Rosa and Manuel sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by unopened bills. The smell of burnt coffee filled the room. "I don't understand," Manuel murmured. "We thought Dylan was helping with some of this." Lena set her binder on the table, sliding it toward them. "No," she said evenly. "He told you that because I was—" She flipped open to a page of highlighted transactions. "That's 3 years of payments, from me to your mortgage company." Her parents stared in silence, eyes wide, guilt spreading like ink. "You banned me from Thanksgiving until I apologized," Lena continued quietly. "So, I stopped paying for the holiday you celebrated without me." The front door opened mid-sentence, and Dylan walked in like he owned the place. He froze when he saw the binder spread open on the table, pages of printed receipts glowing in the afternoon light. "What's this?" he demanded. "A reality check," Lena said. "Sit down." He scoffed but obeyed. She slid another sheet toward him. Every payment labeled Dylan, rent or emergency. His face went pale as he read the amounts. "You're really going to do this to them?" he asked. "To us." She met his eyes calmly. "I'm not doing anything to anyone. I'm just done doing everything for everyone." Her father rubbed his temples, mumbling, "We didn't realize how much you'd done." Lena's lips curved in a faint, tired smile. No, she said. You didn't want to realize. You just wanted me to fix everything so you could keep pretending nothing was wrong. Her mother started to cry softly, but Lena didn't flinch. For once, she wasn't the one apologizing. She stood taller, her voice firm but not cruel. I'm not asking for money back. I just won't be your bank anymore. You're adults. Act like it. The silence that followed was thick and electric. Dylan pushed back his chair, scowling. You're abandoning them. After everything they did for you. Lena let out a breathless laugh. Everything they did for me, she echoed. You mean the years of guilt trips and mockery while using my debit card? She shook her head slowly. No, Dylan. This isn't abandonment. This is equality. Her mother looked up through tears. But Christmas, Rosa began softly. Lena raised a hand to stop her. I'll see how I feel, she said. If you can't invite me with respect, don't bother. She gathered her binder and turned to leave, her heels clicking across the tiled floor like punctuation to her freedom. Dylan muttered, You'll regret this. Lena paused at the doorway and looked back. Maybe, she said, but regret feels a lot better than resentment. Then she walked out into the bright December afternoon, sunlight reflecting off her car windshield like a quiet applause. For the first time in years, the weight on her chest was gone. In the weeks that followed, the family group chat grew quieter. Messages appeared, confused, needy, awkward. Does anyone know how to set up autopay? Her mother texted once. Does anyone have Wi-Fi? Another message asked when the internet stopped working. Dylan posted a single eye roll emoji and then disappeared from the conversation. Lena muted the chat and smiled. The quiet was her reward. She spent her evenings reading, cooking for herself, and learning what peace felt like when no one was draining her dry. Her co-workers noticed the change. You seem lighter, Grace remarked one day. Lena nodded. I finally stopped confusing love with obligation. She no longer waited for apologies or acknowledgement. The truth was enough. Every time she opened her binder, she saw not financial records, but a roadmap out of emotional debt. And every time her phone buzzed with a family name, she smiled and let it ring. Christmas came and went without her visiting the Morales house. She spent the day in pajamas, watching snow fall outside her window, sipping cocoa she'd made just for herself. No guilt, no pressure, no performance. In the evening, her phone buzzed one last time. An unexpected message from her father. We miss you. You were right about everything. She stared at it for a long moment, then typed back, I still love you, but I'm done being your safety net. She pressed send and exhaled. Outside, the city glowed with quiet lights. Inside, she felt something new, a balance between love and dignity. Lena Morales wasn't the family ATM anymore. She was a woman who finally understood that no was not cruelty. It was clarity. And sometimes the most powerful act of love is the one that says, you can stand on your own now. Months passed, and the world outside shifted from winter gray to the pale greens of early spring. Lena walked through the park one Saturday morning, a cup of coffee in her hand, sunlight warming her face. She passed families laughing on picnic blankets, and for the first time, she didn't feel the familiar ache of being an outsider. Her phone buzzed, a message from her cousin Dylan. Got a job at the credit union. Guess I'm learning what budgeting means, thanks to you. A small smile tugged at her lips. She typed back, good for you. I knew you'd figure it out. A year ago, those words would have been soaked in bitterness. Now they were clean. That evening, she sat by her apartment window, watching the skyline fade into gold. Her parents had slowly begun calling again, their voices softer, stripped of entitlement. They were learning, too. There were no grand apologies, just quieter conversations about real things, her work, her peace, her garden of small houseplants thriving by the sill. Sometimes that's all healing is, ordinary moments no longer drenched in pain. She closed her laptop, her reflection faint in the glass, and whispered, this is what love looks like with a spine. The phone on her table stayed silent, but for once, she didn't need it to ring. She wasn't waiting to be invited anymore. Her story wasn't about revenge or isolation. It was about rebirth. Lena Morales had given her family a gift disguised as a boundary, and in the end it saved them all. Because when she finally said no, she didn't end the relationship, she reset it. And as night fell, she smiled to herself, knowing the truth she had waited years to believe. Saying no to being used was really saying yes to herself. Like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this, and let us know where you are watching from under the comment section.